All right, so the market's awful. I mean, if you follow my channel, you'd think the world's ending. If you just go to my page and scroll down and look at all the thumbnails, you'd think the world's exploding. Now, that being said, it is getting a bit better. Like the last month and a half, there's been way more activity, way more reach outs. Listings are getting showings and everything in between. But that being said, still bad. Most things aren't selling. So today's video, I'm going to talk about what is actually selling right here in the Fraser Valley. Starting off with, you probably could have guessed this if you follow my channel, the Willoughby Heights 3-bedroom townhome. And as you can see, it's still at a 21.4% sales ratio. And again, sales ratio is just how many homes that are currently on the market are selling in a given month. So this is 21% of the overall inventory is selling each month, which is a seller's market. Anything above 20% is a seller's market, 12 to 20% is a balanced market, and anything below 12 is a buyer's market. So 21% isn't amazing, but typically speaking, if you're above 20% over a long time frame, prices in that area will start to get pushed up over time. Obviously, they're going down right now, but if it were to stay here for years, you would expect that the prices would start going up. So that's the first one. We have the Willoughby Heights 3-bedroom townhome that has been, has there ever been a point where it's performed poorly? It's pretty much been in a seller's market for years now, right? You have to go back to 2018 to see it briefly in a buyer's market. It was in a buyer's market by 0.1% very briefly in December of 2018. Now, the next thing on this list that I have here is the Cloverdale 3-bedroom townhome, which is at a 28% sales ratio. So this is you could even call this a hot market. 28% is pretty good. Again, prices are going down, but if it stayed like this over a long enough time frame, you would see prices go up. Now you compare that to the 2-bedroom townhome, which is just 11% sales ratio. This is a buyer's market. Basically two polar opposites with the 2-bedroom townhome and the 3-bedroom townhome right here in Cloverdale. Now, next, I want to show you first the 3-bedroom townhome in South Surrey, which is at a 16% sales ratio, which isn't bad. That's a balanced market, but take a look at the 2 bedrooms at 33%. Now, again, this is a small sample size. There's only 19 sales, but actually that's pretty good. That's a decent size. That's a decent sample size. It went from the low of 9 in March all the way up to 19 sales for the 2-bedroom townhome in South Surrey. And again, this is a hot seller's market, but there's not a whole lot of inventory here. So you do see the tendency for, this data set to chop around quite a bit, but it sold through really well in the month of May. Next on here, you have basically any townhome in Abbotsford is selling through at a 24% sales ratio. So basically townhomes, aside from, the center of Surrey and North Surrey, are selling through really well anywhere. And why is that? Well, because it's an end user family oriented product, 3 bedrooms. People need 3 bedrooms. And, this is a big topic right now. It's called the missing middle, right? We don't have enough family sized housing. And that's why, despite the fact that everything that's going wrong right now, you're still seeing this perform well because we're just not building enough of it. And people that have kids need a 3-bedroom home. Now, this is where things get interesting because we're going to talk about the condo market. And we're going to start off with Willoughby Heights, which is only at a 14% sales ratio overall for the condo market. However, if I filter this by price point, and I go to 1 bedroom's price between $450,000 and $475,000, that is selling through at a 40% sales ratio. Now, we're working with a very small data set here. Like, what's the inventory of this? There's only 5 on the market, which means there was 2 sales, right? But as you can see, this is consistently performed at a very high clip. Now, why did I choose specifically this price band? And the reason why I did is because I believe the bulk of the product in Willoughby, most of it's new, right? Like Willoughby is all like post, pretty much all the condo product here is built after 2012, right? And that being the case, most of the product should be priced between $450 and $475. But if you go on the MLS, that's not what you're going to find. Most of it is priced high 400s, even mid 5s, over 500,000. And I'm not saying everything should be priced between $450 and $475 because there's product that has great floor plans on the 4th floor with additional balcony space, or when you talk about the tower in Latimer Heights, there's no way you should see that product priced in the mid 400,000s. But what I'm saying is the bulk of the product should probably be priced in this band. And for the sellers that are willing to price that product in this price band, it's moving at a 40% clip right now. And you have some months where, there's more inventory selling in that month than what was initially available at the start of the month, right? So this price band is hot right now for 1-bedrooms in Willoughby. And the next one I have in here is condos priced between 580, 2-bedroom condos priced between 580 and 600,000, which again, hot sellers market, 42%. And again, kind of the same rationale as the 1-bedroom. There's a lot of product in Willoughby that can easily justify a purchase price of about 650,000 for a 2-bedroom. But also there's a lot of product that's priced in that $650,000 range that should probably be under 600,000. And for the sellers that are willing to price it at the market value, it is moving at a good clip, 42% for the month of May. Now, my favorite area to talk about right now, because there's so much going on here and it's so easy for me to get views when I talk about this. Wally, Surrey Central. We look at the sales ratio here, 9% for condos. This is the ground zero. This is our Toronto at the moment because there's just so much product that has come to completion in this area in the last 4 months. And a lot of it was purchased at very high prices, which I'm about to highlight here. Starting with the first bit that is doing well, right? Everybody hates dog crate condos. And they're, boxes in the sky, prison cells, whatever you want to call them. But in this instance, most of the product at this less than $420,000 price band is going to be your dog crate condo. Now, it's not doing amazing. It's at 19%. It's on the cusp of balanced and seller's market. But in comparison to the rest of the condos in Surrey Central, it is doing almost 3 times better. Right? If the sales ratio is 9%, well, I guess it's not really like 2.5 times better, or not even. It's like 2 times better. It's doing 2 times better than that. The average condo in Wally right now is, most of your product under this price band of 420,000 is going to be your dog crate condo. And it is performing very well at a 19% sales ratio. Now, just to give you guys some contrast, what I'm going to show you is condos priced over 629,000, I guess 629 to 800,000 in Surrey Central. And there pretty much is no sales. It's a 0.0, what is that, 3%? Yeah, 3.7% sales ratio right now for condos priced over 629,000. And you look at the inventory, 191 on the market, and the amount of sales happening is only 7. Well, why is that? I'll give you a good example. Okay, I had a seller earlier this year who sold a 1-bedroom condo in Surrey Central, and it was in the mid 400,000s. And he took a loss. It was about a $40,000 loss. And that sucks, but that's not going to ruin your life. The problem with this 629 price band and over 700,000 is you have a lot of people who bought units for the mid 700,000s, and they're probably worth low 6s to high 500Ks. And they are not willing to take that loss. That is a big loss. Some of them might even have to pay money out of pocket on completion. So lose your whole down payment and then pay more money on completion. So there's a lot of people who just simply cannot drop their price. And there's a lot of product that, in my opinion, is overpriced. And that is why you're seeing this price band basically just sit completely no bid with no offers at all. Now, I'm not suggesting that every single condo priced above 629 is overpriced, because there is some deals in that price band. But I'm just telling you why this segment of the market is basically frozen is because a lot of people that are holding inventory above this price band paid way too much for it back in 2022, and they just cannot afford to sell at the market price or what the market would actually pay for it right now. And lastly, this is a very small data set. Walnut Grove, there's only a couple buildings in this area in Langley, but it is selling through pretty well at a 21.4% sales ratio, slightly in a seller's market. If we go and look at the inventory, there's only 14 of these condos on the market. But again, if you go back and you look in history, it's always moving pretty good, right? It's pretty much never not in a seller's market. And people like Walnut Grove. It's cozy. It's a little bit older area of town, but you're close to the highway. And, if that's where you want to live, there really isn't a lot of product to choose from. And for that reason, it's pretty much always in a seller's market. So that is it for today's video, despite the fact that, every single data point you could possibly think of is negative about real estate right now. And even the condo market, you're hearing a lot of bad things about the condo market. There are still condos that are moving. There are still price bands that are in a seller's market. You can't just blanket statement the entire market because we're very hyper local right now. It really depends where you are, what you have, and what price band you're in. That is going to dictate your success in getting your product sold right now. And if you want to chat with me about what you have and if you'd like to sell it, you can book a chat with me using the link down in the description. Otherwise, appreciate you for being here. I'm that Agent Kelly. I'm making moves to move you. Peace.